I wasn't going to use a mic just in case like 30 people show up.
It's better for this. So.
All right, we'll call this meeting to order. Just a couple of housekeeping. So my name is Chris Lynch, I'm the president of the school board. I'm going to help facilitate tonight. And just a couple of housekeeping items, just so you know, this is a posted open meeting, so it's fine to have more than 4 or more directors here. That means we're also taping the meeting. I always like to tell people that. So we're also following open meetings laws. It's been posted, we'll have minutes, all that good stuff. But just so you know, your comments will be taped and it's public record. So with that, I'd like to introduce the directors here tonight. Lori's right here, or Roland. We got Chris Liebig, Phil Hemingway, Tasha Deloche. I think Brian's coming. I know Paul's not coming. So everybody couldn't make every single meeting. This is our 3rd meeting. We've been at Kirkwood, we've been at Wood, and we're happy to be here for all for Bulldogs. Administration here tonight, we got Craig Ansel, our CFO. So if you have tough financial questions, he loves that stuff.
Thank you.
I see Matt Degner back here. Matt's assistant superintendent. He basically runs our secondary schools. So if you want to talk anything about secondaries, Matt loves to talk about secondary schools. With that, if you've been with us in the past on these type of activities, we have a pretty standard way we do these things. I'm going to give a quick overview. Our focus initially would be on the facilities master plan, and then we'll talk to bond. Most people want to talk to bond at least a little bit. I'll give an overview of the facilities master plan. We'll break into some small groups. We'll see. It might just be a couple groups, depending on our number of people. But we break into tables, have discussion on the facilities master plan, ask you a few questions. And then we'll have the tables report out, and we just go around and report out. And that's what we'll take back to the board table. So we'll have a summary of all the table report outs. And then if we have time, and I think we will, because we have in the last couple, we'll repeat the process, talking about bond a little bit. Good process, any questions? Always like to start talking about facilities master plan. We want to start with the objective. What is the objective of the facilities master plan? And that is to transform the learning environment. And we're really working towards 21st century classrooms, obviously student-centered. You look around Borlaug, you'll see the space is a lot more flexible. We're really trying to build in best-in-class facilities across the district. And no matter what school you're in, you're having the same great facilities. And again, we're really doing this for our students and for our staff. If you recall from a process standpoint, back in 2013, and really from December of 12 to December of 2013, we went through a year-long process to define the facilities master plan. We had a very big committee, a very cross-functional group of people in the community. We had over 1,000 people engaged throughout the process. In fact, we had over 400 people at one meeting, which is pretty impressive. You know, Cedar Rapids is going through a similar process now. They're happy to get a couple hundred people over multiple meetings. You know, they're lucky if they get that. So obviously, the community is very engaged, and they're certainly very engaged in this process. How many people, who has examples of improvements across the district? Let me go through a few, but anybody want to share a few?
That they want to have done, or that?
No, that are already done, sorry, thanks for the clarification. Who knows examples of improvements you've already seen?
New bathrooms at the high school.
Sorry?
New bathrooms at West High.
Yep, bathroom, West High, improvements, bunch of improvements going on.
Corval Central.
Corval Central, HVAC, complete school renovation, been awesome.
Are there additions to Horn and Weber? Is that done?
Horn was pre-facilities master plan, but Weber's happening right now, basically a complete renovation of Weber, an addition, a new gym there. So there's examples across the district. I always like to just check, see, see if people know what projects have happened across the district. But let's start with HVAC, and you'll see why I'm going to talk HVAC. HVAC's air conditioning, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. When we started in 2013, 77% of our elementaries were air conditioned, and we've made really historic breakthrough progress on air conditioning. You see we're already up to 90%. We're doing Lucas right now, so it'll be 100% by the next school year. Longfellow is next year, and then Lincoln and Manor the year after. So by 2019, we'll be 100% air conditioned. You'll see that was a key input from the community. And that'll be great because sometimes people like to talk about early outs, but early outs are like the tip of the iceberg, right? You know, if you're having early outs, it's probably been hot all week, or it's probably been hot all month. And we have some schools and locations. Coralville Central is a great example. If you're on the upper floors of Coralville Central, hot, 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 hot. You know, if you're out west doing the parent night, you know, where you're walking around, you're about 3 sections in, you're only there 7 minutes, you're like, what the heck's going on? I'm hot. You know what I mean? So it's just a big deal. I'll talk secondaries later, but historic performance on elementaries, and we're very, very close to having elementaries done. Again, around the district, we just built Alexander. This is a great example, I think. When you look at the east side of Iowa City, we had not built a new elementary east of the Iowa River since 1970. All right, and now we're building 2 in 2 years. All right, with Alexander and Hoover East. That's pretty exciting. Penn Elementary, if you've been up there, we did a classroom addition. Penn's been over capacity since the beginning of time. Had some portables out there that were supposed to be temporaries, but I think they got installed in the 60s or something like that. They're pretty old, right? Been there forever. So Penn really needed an addition, put in a library gym. It's been outstanding. Updating HVAC, again, what you'll see with HVAC too, is not just about the air conditioning, but we leave the school significantly operationally more efficient. And we've seen that. So our operating costs are going down because of the improvements we're doing across the district. And then you can reinvest that in the classroom. Twain, if you talk to Twain parents, great addition there. We had classrooms, gyms. Again, you're going to see a theme of art and music. In many cases across the district, if we're going to add a couple rooms, what we're probably going to add is art and music rooms. And then what you do is convert the old rooms into classrooms. And why is that? Because a lot of our art and music rooms are actually just old classrooms. They're not really designed for art and music. So we're designing rooms that are appropriate for art and music, and then repurposing the current rooms for additions. Added kindergarten, really upgraded the kindergarten rooms there, and just an overall renovation of school, again, HVAC. Go to Twain, completely different place. Go to Penn, completely different place, completely transformed. You want an example of before and after? Two great examples of where we transformed the learning environment. In addition to Van Allen, the addition at City, it was like urban legend whether we could add a 3rd floor to City. Yes, no, yes, no. We added a 3rd floor to City, 6 classrooms, it's beautiful. You wouldn't know there was an addition there, really, you know, historic building. You'd have no idea the new versus the old, it just blends in so well. Did a bunch of upgrades at Hills Elementary, Coralville Central, we already talked, complete renovation of the school. Lucas Elementary is happening right now. Again, pretty much a total renovation of the school, going to get geothermal, HVAC. Again, just from an environmental standpoint, we're really pushing geothermal, and that's a big deal for us. Building the Hoover East Elementary on American Legion Road. That'll open up in this next school year. And Longfellow will be there transitioning while we do a complete renovation of Longfellow. We heard over here we're doing Weber right now, 200 classroom addition, a gymnasium. Weber has an extremely small gymnasium. I'd call it a utility room, but we use it as a gym. It's unbelievably small. So they're getting a new gym, which would be great. West High, we're doing a bunch of improvements. Started with 2 new tennis courts. Our previous courts were a safety hazard. We had conferences telling us they weren't going to do tournaments into there. We had teams saying they wouldn't play. The courts were so bad. We tried to repair them a bunch of times, couldn't do it. And in the master plan, we were going to move them anyway, so we just replaced the tennis courts. But there's a bunch of other great improvements going on there, a bunch of infrastructure stuff, which will enable HVAC later. Liberty High, of course, we built a fully comprehensive, full-size high school about every 50 or 60 years. Built City in the 30s, built West in the 60s. We're going to add to Liberty. Great opportunity for all of our high school students, whether you go to City, West, or Liberty. About 50%, 50% increase in opportunities for all of our kids. Get the high schools back in capacity. West and City are both operating at 130% of capacity, and they're really not designed for that at all. If you have kids there, you know what I'm talking about. But that's going to be an outstanding opportunity for all of our students. Longfellow, we got to start bringing the drawings for Longfellow. Absolutely, this is going to be our first truly historic renovation. When you start to get into an elementary that's over 100 years old, we want to maintain the historic nature of the building while making it a 21st century learning environment. And if you see the drawings, I think you're just going to be blown away. We were blown away when we saw them. So they've completely maintain the historic nature while adding just tremendous capabilities to the school, and it's going to be just outstanding. Can't wait for that to happen. That'll start as soon as school's out. It will be on to Lincoln, adding a gym, roof replacement, back, again, pretty much a total renovation. Man will be a historic renovation, pretty much, very much like really Longfellow, but basically the same building, so it's the same similar opportunity. We're going to be building a Grant Elementary, a new elementary school in North Liberty, or in the north end. City High Phase 2, we have a bunch more classrooms, cafeteria and library expansion, a bunch of athletic improvements. Junior high, Southeast, I'll show you in a minute here, key HVAC improvement, and then also classroom additions and a bunch of other improvements. If you talk to students over at Southeast, locker replacement's a big deal, but just a tremendous improvement to Southeast. West High Phase 2 will basically finish the HVAC, a bunch of interior, exterior renovations. We said we did some of the restrooms already, but there's a bunch of areas in the school that haven't been renovated. Roof and electrical upgrade. Liberty High Phase 2 is outdoor athletic facilities. You kind of get the idea. So a number of these projects I talked about are already completed. There's some that are in motion right now and about to be completed. These will all be completed in the next year. I think you get the idea. This is really a historic plan. It's really something that's never been done before. And if you think about the facilities master plan, it is a very ambitious plan because we're going to upgrade every single one of our schools over 10 years. At the end of the 10 years, everybody's going to have the same excellent and equitable facilities. Now, a question we normally get is, how did you figure out, what goes first and how did you prioritize and how did you figure out the order? And of course, it gets complicated, but if I was to talk simply about how we thought about it, the first criteria we really started with was educational adequacy. So we had basically an assessment done across the district using national standards to assess our schools. And we basically had a gap analysis on what needed to happen to get them to a 21st century state. So we started with that. Now, the next constraint is cash flow, right? You can only afford so much at a time. The next constraint is organizational capability. We can't do all of the big projects at once. We wouldn't have the money to do it. We wouldn't have the organizational capability to manage it. So we had to spread the projects over 10 years. As we did that, we had a sensitivity to ensure some element of geographical equity. So make sure everybody across the district saw improvement. Everybody across the district saw improvement in the beginning, the middle, and the end. And I think you'll see that again. In the end, everybody in the district will have the same excellent transformed learning environment. Now, I didn't even have time to go through all these projects, all right? So when we start to get out here, if I didn't talk about your school, it's probably because they're here. And it's more of the same type of improvements so that by the end, every school has been transformed. So while we went through the big process in 2013, annually we do a look, the board does a look at the facilities master plan. We've kind of done a bigger look every 2 years. So in 2015, we made some updates. Here we are in 2017, kind of doing the same thing. And as part of that, we want to get public input. So that's why we're here. But also in October and November, we used our cloud exchange tool, which is electronic medium. Hopefully you participated in that to get initial input. We want to do this to have face-to-face conversation, and also because it becomes more real time. It's a little closer to the time we're going to make a decision. But with this, we had basically 1,700 people participate, and we asked them 3 questions. So, what are ways we can continue to improve the facilities master plan? Do you want to share stories? That's kind of what we did at the start about how the projects have impacted your students, and then what should we consider moving forward in this plan? 1 and 3 are kind of similar. I'm going to ask you guys these 3 questions when we do the breakouts and small group activities, okay? But what came back was by far, when I say by far, if there was only one theme, it was HVAC. And it spread across all 3. So it's kind of like HVAC was up here, and then we got into, classroom size, support neighborhood schools, that sort of stuff. But by far, HVAC was the number 1. And how fast can you get it done? You'll see support, classrooms, support, overcrowding, class size, support neighborhood schools. And, we've heard that over time, right? Those are some, neighborhood schools are a value in our community, but by far, number one was get her done on HVAC. How fast can you do it? The good news is we already have a plan that's doing it pretty fast. And we're very close. 2019, man, it's 2017, right? I mean, we're 2 years away from being done. Secondary level, so I said 100% of our elementaries will be done by 2019. The good news is 100% of our junior highs will be done by 2019. Junior highs are right here. If you come across and look, basically southeast, that's why we need to get the southeast done. So it's the only junior high that isn't 100% HVAC at this point, and it's in the plan. It'll be done by 2019. High school wise, you can see where City and West are at. City 58, West 41, and then track, actually this has been recommended to move up. Our plan is to have all of our high schools done by 2021. All right. So with that, we had some people fill in. We thought maybe at the start we only had 5 or 10, so thanks for everybody for coming. I'd like to, at your table, and if you need to split your table into 2, that's fine, whatever, but in a small group activity, I'd like you to talk about primarily question 1 and 2 are, what, do you agree with the feedback HVAC's up there and, and the other feedback, and is there anything you'd want to see, is there any input you have in terms of improving the facilities master plan moving forward? Clear enough? Yep.
Is HVAC scheduled for all the elementary schools?
Yes, by 2019. I can take you back. It's right near the start. See a lot of projects. So this was the HVAC, and you can see basically all the schools are 100. Kirkwood's 99, but so the big gaps are these 4. And again, Lucas is happening right now. That'll be done by start of the next year. Longfellow, the second school's out. The Longfellow renovation starts. They'll move to Hoover East for the year. And then the year after, 18-19, basically Lincoln and Man do the same thing. So we're that close. All right, and so what we'll ask is, talk to your tables, ways to improve it. I'm going to ask you to report out, so you can pre-select a leader to report out. It's not that difficult. We'll just have to, and just give us your top 1, 2, or 3 items. It's not. Sound good?
Repeat the questions.
I'll go back to the questions. We'll spend about 15 minutes on this. The basic question is, what input would you have on continuing the plan or improving the plan?
I have kids at City High and South
We have a Westlake graduate and a straight out
So what is your expectation?
It's going to be nice when it's done. It's going to be very nice when it's done. Yeah. Yeah. We've been close to that whole
Pretty big deal. Little team gym. Their gym is bigger than
So what are they doing?
That wasn't set up, it's kind of like a storm that.
All right.
Why is Were there things that you wanted to have done?
So my window is like 90 degrees.
No, that's great. However,
But it's nice to have that. Then we open 500 a day for the classrooms. We pack them in like that.
That's one of the things that was
So we can put that.
Which is good. I mean, they would probably be less.
First word plans are built up into
564, yeah. So, and that would be nice to see them do that. Our kids are like, keep adding those spaces. Yeah. Yeah. Is that they were finishing wide
Just know that
when the first spawn was passed, and then they switched to Oh, yeah, I know there's all sorts of things. Now they
well, yeah, I guess.
There was a box that had basically what's already in the sales tax. They know it's coming.
The last one we voted on. Anyway, I think it's a great plan. I just voted.
I'd like to see additional
Which are the others? We were able to.
because you're the ones I contact, we have to figure out where they're at. So, Central. And again, those are all kind of funds, because that doesn't have
And then
But if you look at the numbers, it's not.
I know you are parent and I think that, but
She's like, just
this whole thing here. Yes, a little bit of like, you're already
You're all these different needs.
now. With Central, yes, in addition, but then it's big like full MD.
But by the time we talk about junior high, now you're talking, now you're 100.
Yeah.
In high school, 500 in that small class, 100 over.
I'm not seeing
So I think
We've
it's
done this full plan. Elementary, we're now 70%. High school has 20%. There's people who do it less than 8 perfect. But these junior highs are like more problems. They definitely listen.
I mean, eventually. I don't think it
But I think the language and I think when we ask for that money, it needs to be like in a very skillful way. That's politically accurate, so it doesn't feel like
eventually maybe going out, but right now.
Yeah, but see, this is what we're saying. Why should it be 86? You know, that's why I feel like it's
there has been some slight inflation.
they like that. And then the listen to that.
I think we need a whole kind of language. I don't know how that happens.
Are too large.
What about the operating costs?
That's got to be. Well, we have to. Disrupted by
They're asking dollars, but they're asking for
I'm not sure that really kind of
I'm not saying what you need to do. One trade I can suggest.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is talk about boundaries, not talking about but what I'm hearing is some way to question whether someone is continue to create facilities. Why? That question, why? So we could improve, and that is we can decide communication wise,
Yes.
So, I mean, and they're
17 years ago. 17 years ago. It wasn't even close to the house.
And economy, like what did you have? If you were kids, you had more
That's a great question. So, 10 this year, 150 don't go 4 years ago. 400 It is, but that's not the numbers are starting to 500 plus.
But if you have more students, then maybe it's all 35, there'd be 45, and that's classrooms to make it more. Because it's hard to justify, I think my classes, okay, they work that, but you work that in
Oh, is that what we do in class? Oh, yeah. Right. And they pass it.
But maybe that's what and again, I would say that and so then that's it doesn't make sense. But you never want to that. I believe that was our first comment.
They found a way to pair shifts.
But as
But I do hear it from the vice president, and that's me.
So it's a price
You can be really efficient for bringing people but that into a certain point.
That's an example.
I
Right, so they're gonna help.
So I disagree I'm not saying it never is, but to just say that I'm concerned about this. No, because our schools have white I don't doubt
but it all, I'll tell you something.
But in general, and I think it has no plan. And once you're in your school, you love your school. You don't want to leave your school. You're necessarily love your school. You love your teachers. I think it's just once you're in, you love where you're going. I think that's where everybody who's got kids that love it, go out of things to go to another school because schools are whether it's IFRS or
Some people that's why
All right, maybe we'll give it 2 more minutes. So we don't want to keep
projections with technology that they are, and that's right. It's not perfect. But I think
Something about what some wording last year, seeing how it might change. There was something.
I agree. Lots of cafeteria negotiations.
I think what you said makes a lot of sense, is that teams, we're trying to All right, we're ready to get started.
All right, we're going to get going here. We'll ask each table to report out. Matt Dager's going to help us record the data. I want to thank Mayor Thornton Martin for coming. I always like to recognize elected officials that show up. We certainly appreciate the collaboration and having them participate with us. So, with that, lucky table number 1. Who's the fearless leader?
We were fortunate, we had a couple of committee members here presently, so they could sit there and listen to the positive input. But basically, because there's really only one person in our group that has kids in the school currently, our number 1 was, we discussed the issue of HVAC, is that the general consensus was that it's a good thing, it's moving forward, and there's only 4 schools left. There was some talk about, in terms of looking back, if you're going to pick one thing out, HVAC, when the education system, there's problems, maybe we should have spent more money on the education and less on the HVAC, but that's already in the process. And the other point was on that one was this has gone on since the year 12, it's thought through. It's not something that was brought up yesterday and we're trying to ram down the public's throat today. And it looks like it's a good idea. Number 2, I don't know your name. Nicole, who has a child, hers was a positive impact. She's going to have kids go to a new school, and they're looking forward to that. My comments were all about the bad road situation around new schools.
Great. Thank you, table number 1. Mighty table number 2.
Amazing thing.
Hi. We had a number of different things, but I would say the overall message from this table was keep moving forward on the full bond. We don't want to see the bond dissected.
Yeah, that's the next section.
Sorry. On the FMP, we had a number of different issues from, critical window needs at West High School to North Central will be 20 to 40% over capacity if they don't get their additions and improvements. to not wanting to pit different parts of the community against each other. Like, we got our improvements, so we don't need to vote for the bond that will, support your improvements. We also want the board to consider putting together a video of both the renovations that have already happened and the places where we need improvements, additions, renovations, so that we can advertise to the community why this is really needed and what will come of doing the bond and the FMP. We also want to see the board match projections with new construction. I understand that there's some new projections for enrollment that came out about a month ago, and want to make sure the board is looking at those and where the new additions will go, and making sure that those numbers work together, that they line up. We also want to see a united board in the campaign for the bond. I know there's been a tendency sometimes for the board to air their differences publicly, but if we're going to the community and asking the community to support a $200 million bond, it is absolutely critical that all the board members show their support for that. Thank you.
Get her done, I like it. And we talked, I think the video thing came up with a couple of the other ones, because I think that's a great idea to make it accessible to folks. All right, table number 3.
Hi. Some of our things that we wanted to report out were people were looking at the projected numbers versus capacity and said pay attention to overcrowding. Do the plan, finish the plan. There are representatives here who have received improvements at their schools, at their children's schools, and others who have not yet received the improvements from the plan. So people are worried about failure of the bond and subsequent scaling back of the scope of things, and that the schools that didn't receive what they've been expecting through the planning process would be very disappointed. And there was some discussion of what's the optimal size for a junior high. And at some point when you do additions, you may go over the optimal size. And yeah, I think there's general support that the 400 to 600 range is a good range, and a lot of people like smaller is better, but we understand the operational efficiencies of larger.
Great, thanks, table number 3. This is perfect, by the way. This is great. So this is definitely a elite crowd and was doing a great job. Table number 4.
Well, we've basically just focused on the master plan and said that our main concern is to look at growth projections and make sure they match with the plan and what gets done at what time. And the other thing is to maybe start communicating better about year 11, 12, 13, about things that are on the horizon. So everybody's aware that after year 10, things don't just stop, that things continue.
And one other thing was just to continue to look at the costs and make sure they truly are needs and not wants.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a great point. We are talking about the out years, kind of the beyond the 10 years, because it's a great point. We're 4 years in, you got to start looking at
But the
what's
public
next.
needs to know that.
Yeah, it's happening right now. Yep. All right, table number 5.
So we are lucky to talk with one of the school, the board members, and the Weber, we are from Weber, this girl. And so we are very concerned about the safety of the kids in Weber, because the project is going on like even the school time. So we worry every day the safety of our kids. And because usually I think even the University of Iowa, they deal with adult students, but usually if they have any project, they do it when the students are not here, not in the building. So, but for the Weber, the kids are just walking in out every day, and the project going on every day. Also the noise, and so some teachers I think complain like the noise, like affect like the attention of the students. And you all know that, right? So you heard the noise like all the time, how the students, how the kids can concentrate on their study.
All right, thanks. And I just say to that, make sure that you're engaging with your principal and you'll engage with our facility folks, and they're very open to input, so hopefully that's happened. But all right, anything else to add? Good stuff, awesome, pretty consistent, outstanding. You want to talk about the bond a little bit? Sound good? Lost my clicker. All right. So as we start talking about the bond and what's happening next, the first thing, you've already seen this page, but you noticed in the blue section here, right? Future project subject to bond approval. So when we designed the facilities master plan in 2013, we have plugged in pretty completely to the PEPAL fund, which is the physical plant and equipment levy, and we're using SAVE. SAVE is the penny tax, all right? So it's basically a sales tax, and we get that back. And SAVE has really been the biggest enabler to the overall plan. But that's set to expire in 2029. So it starts to impact our ability to borrow money. So at the time, knowing that SAVE was only extended to 29, we basically determined that the base plan for funding the back half of the plan is to go for a GO bond. All right, general obligation bond. Now when Craig, and this is all in flux a little bit, so Craig Hansel put this together. It's a cash flow analysis. And again, we're doing that. We're looking at all the projects, and the comment about needs versus wants. We're looking at some of the things and what's needed or what might happen later. And Craig put together this cash flow analysis, and you see basically all the projects that are in the GO bond, and you'll see that this basically adds up to $191 million. I'm rounding off. Now sometimes you hear a few numbers. You're going to hear 191, you're going to hear 194, you're going to hear 200, all right? What's the difference? 91 is basically the summation of the projects. Now it costs you money to go bond money and all that good stuff, so when we do the total cost of the bonds, it's 194. If you hear people saying 200, they're just rounding up. All right, so the real projects are 194 million, or 191 million. The colors up here, we wouldn't borrow all that money day one, right? We don't need it all day one. So Craig's proposed 5 different series of bonds. So you can see the first bond would be in December of 2017, like soon. So if we approve this, we'll be quickly getting ready for the first bond series mode. You see there's one in 18, one in 19, one in 2020, one in 2022, okay? And the color codes are basically what those bond series are paying for. All right? Now if you look, so here is just another way to look at the 5 bond series. That's the amount. This is where, when you get into adding the cost to bond and all the good stuff, you add up to 194 million. So here's the good news. Currently, this is where we start talking tax rate. All right. So currently we have borrowed money, we have debt, and the tax rate to support that debt is 54 cents. That debt is going to expire in the fiscal year 17-18. So if we do nothing, that would go to 0. So we can borrow 46 million-ish, 46 million, and keep the tax rate flat at 54. All right, obviously 46 is short of the total amount. If you do these over time, this is the total impact of the tax rate. All right, and again, it would go over time, so we wouldn't be borrowing the full amount to 2022. But at that time, if we put it all into the tax rate would be $2.16. Now, we'll add some more slides on this, but if you did 216 versus today, that's an increase like $1.62. All right. So what would that increase be? If you had a house valued at $200,000, it'd be about $14 a month or $169 a year. All right, $200,000 valuation would be about $169 a year. And we'll get some more numbers on that. Now, there's a couple concepts to talk. The first one is if SAVE gets extended, and there's been lots of talk about extending SAVE from 2029 to 2049, or maybe making it forever, or there's lots of talk about extending SAVE, again, the paying tax. In theory, if it was extended, we could pay for all these projects on SAVE. Keep the flat tax rate flat. So maybe borrow the 46 on a bond, you know what I mean? There'd be lots of options if SAVE's got extended. Or maybe we do something in the middle, right? You don't want to mortgage too much of the future. Maybe we do, you know, so much on GO bond or whatever. Now here's the other thing we could do though. The way we set up our revenue purpose statement, if we okay the bond for 194, we authorize that increase. If SAVE comes later, we can pay down the debt with SAVE. So another way, reduce the tax rate. All right. So we got some options to reduce the tax rate if SAVE gets extended. So that's the good news. All right. The challenge is that's a political item, right? You never know how politics go. You know, I think there's been broad-based alignment to extend it, but as you know, probably know, it's been mixed in with different proposals on water quality funding. The governor last year proposed taking some of the money for water funding. They're talking different ways to get water funding. Hopefully, if we can figure out, the Iowa legislature can figure out how they're going to fund water, they can get on with extending SAVE. And every district in, just tell you, every district in Iowa needs the extension. Now, the other thing we're just talking, and again, this is just a discussion we're debating, is should we do something different with the GO bond, maybe something in the mid-range? And does that make sense or not? And we're basically just having that discussion and debating that right now. A little more tax rate. I'll go to this slide. So this is basically a chart of the top 10 districts. Okay, the top biggest districts in Iowa. If you look over here from a tax rate standpoint, of the top 10, we're 10th. Means we have the lowest tax rate of the top 10 districts. If you looked at the top 25, we're 23rd. Okay, so we have a relatively, compared to the rest of Iowa, we have a relatively low tax rate. You can see 1398, and it's actually a little less than that when we get the actual tax rate. But this is what our certified budget was, 1398. Not only are we the lowest in the top 10, look at number 9. Number 9 is $1 higher. You know, the top 10, no one's even close to us in terms of tax rate. Now, you know, we are in a high taxation district, right? We have lots of property value and all that good stuff. You see that over here, the assessed value per pupil. We're very high there, so that's the good thing in our community. We can do things. We have a high, tax valuation, and the impact on the tax rate is smaller when we do some things versus other districts. Also tell you, if you look at the history of the tax rate, we've actually had a pretty good run here. We hit the high in 10-11 at $14.69, and you can see for the last 3 years we've been under $14. So we could go up 70, 80 cents and still be within where we've been in the last 5 years. All right. I feel like I forgot something. If I forgot it, Craig? Good to go. Any questions on tax rate? Bond numbers? All that good stuff, Kurt?
So, Mr. Hensel, were you here when they had the penny sales tax?
I came in the summer of 12 and was part of the revenue purpose statement vote in February of 13, but I wasn't here before that.
So you would have, well, the reason I asked is if you had the numbers of how much money was collected for that in terms of raising property taxes versus everybody pays a little instead of someone was paying a lot. And that's, that's why I'm here.
Sure.
That's that issue. And I'm going to give you an example. I moved into our house in 1987. We had 28 acres. I paid $600 a month, $600 a year taxes. Now I have 2 acres and I pay $3,200 a year. And I'm retired. I can't keep paying this and live in this county.
Are you in the county or what city?
I'm county.
Okay.
I'm county.
Yep.
But I still pay this. I pay,
No, sure, yeah.
And this, and I think this is, in this, I don't know what everybody else's view is. We all do not work for the university as professors. We all do not have a $399,000 house. We all can't afford that. So when you say that we're the lowest, That's a good thing.
Yeah.
And that shouldn't be that we can go up because we're the lowest. And I think we should take a serious look at the 1 cent sales tax and bring that back. Do just the same thing you did the last time, put a sunset on it, you know what you made the last time, you can extrapolate, and you can drop that number.
Yeah, so to your question, I think, so for example, so it's like $13 million a year, approximately, say. So if, and this might get to your question, Kurt, I don't know. So if you extend, say, from like 2029 to 2049, it opens up between like 400 and 500 million dollars. I mean, it's a huge amount of money, which is why, if that got extended, we could basically do this without a tax rate increase. So
I guess I'm confused. Why would you do a tax rate increase if you're getting a penny on the dollar? You know, instead of, you know, I'll tell you right now, 194 million, there'll be a sign in my yard, vote no.
Sure.
I mean, that is not right. You know, and I appreciate all the work you've done. You're looking out down the road. But by God, it's time to take care of some of the people who work here and live here too. And we're not professors. And I think you should really take a serious look at the 1 penny. Now, if you're saying that you're not going to do that till 10 years down the road, I think you're wrong. You know, you're saying next year you're going to do a bond issue. Why can't you start making people understand how this could improve their schools and everybody pays?
Sure.
I think the issue is the SAVE has to be approved by the state. And so that money has to be approved by the Republican.
The 1%, now I may be wrong, they passed the law. The last time they did it, they put a sunset on it for this, but the law is still on the books.
But they have to renew it past 2029 for each.
Already against it out to 2020.
Yeah. So that's out of control.
Yeah, we don't have it on the local level.
No, so you're asking for
Just well, yes, we are asking for it. We don't.
Nobody knows that. I mean, I'm sorry, if that's what you're doing, you know, then you're talking 2029, that you're asking for a penny, you know, to extend that. People need to know that.
Yeah, well,
And that's the first I've heard. I mean, I'm sorry,
That could be part of advertising for the
Yeah.
bond issue.
I mean, that's why we're here. That's why we're here.
Improve
The camp,
Well, it goes, you know, so you're asking for, you know, whether it's going to be 80 million or 100 million versus 194 million. And then you're going to tell people, well, by the way, we're in between now and 2029, we're going to try to get a penny sales tax. That's going to be a hard one to explain how, you know, why are you waiting that long? You know, you better start educating people now. I understand the state has to approve it, and we have to wait now, then we have to wait till our turn comes back. Is that correct?
no, it can happen anytime. So
Then why are we waiting?
we're not waiting. So it's with the
You
Iowa.
said 2029. Start over. Explain to me, you're today, but I'm just going to say, today you're putting in for 1 cent sales tax. And now you got to wait.
No.
When are you going to do it?
So let's start from the beginning.
Okay.
Perfect. So the law was commissioned in '99. It was available to us in '99. Every county in Iowa had to approve a revenue purpose statement to basically start the 1 cent sales tax. We did that in 2007. So it went from like a 5% sales tax to 6%, right? So that's on the books. I mean, that's,
6 to 7.
I think it's
That was for flood.
5 to 6.
When we went up to 7%, that was right after the flood, and that 1 cent was to mitigate the flood.
It was a percent in 2007. Again, as the laws evolved, it's always had a sunset. It sunsets in 2029. We set up our revenue purpose statement, so we had to go to the public and approve our revenue purpose statement. We kept it pretty broad. We included in there the ability to pay debt. So that if we took out debt, we could use it to pay it, which is why we're talking this option. So with no new tax versus today, if the Iowa legislature, this is what we want the Iowa legislature to do. We want to move that sunset out to at least 2049.
And then you'll be able to go back and it just goes on the books then, or you have to put it back in front of the people?
No, well, it depends how they do the legislature. So it's possible that they could just extend it and we're good to go. It's possible they could require us to do another revenue purpose statement, which we'd probably do very similar to today. So we have options to do things like pay debt.
So is the legislator, this legislation right now, is there a bill in to do that?
There was various bills put forward last year, and again, where it got complicated was water quality. So we would hope that it got extended this year. Every district in Iowa is asking it to be extended.
Is
And
there a bill number so we can call our legislators?
we can get that out to you. I'm not, they are sorting out right now, right? I mean, you're in a new session, so they're sorting out right now what's going to move forward. But yeah, it's a big deal. So if I was, and hey, trust me, I like flat tax. I've never seen a tax reduction I don't like. Having said that, I don't mind paying tax when I can see the benefit in our roads or our schools or whatever, right? But it's why we're communicating and talking about the bond, because this save is a big deal for us. I mean, we could keep our tax rate flat if save was extended today. Then it'd be a lot easier to sell, right? We're using the money we got, we're keeping tax rate flat, and let's get her done.
I mean, I think the part that's a little confusing is we are paying the pennies right now.
Yes.
So we have already borrowed against that income stream out to the expiration of 2029.
And not fully. There's a whole bunch of things that don't let you fully
Right.
borrow against it, but
A
yeah,
bunch that we can't.
yes.
And so unless it's extended, we can continue to fund projects with that.
Like we have.
16, 17, 17.
And it's been a savings for us to pull forward, right? Because we're borrowing money at very cheap rates, like 2-3%. Construction inflation is like 5%, so it makes a lot of sense for us to get these done as fast as we can, especially with the low cost of cash. So I appreciate the detailed questions and
Just
Yeah.
just one point, just to elaborate a little bit on your total tax bill. The school is only one of 7 taxing entities on your entire tax bill. If you look at your entire tax bill for this county, you're going to be in about the $35 per thousand range, okay? Of which the school district is 14 of that 35. If you go back 30 years, the school district's tax levy represented 43% of the total tax bill, and today it only represents 35% of the total tax bill that you pay. So you're not paying as much towards the school as you were 35 years ago, but these other entities, taxing entities, of the total tax bill have increased their portion in a higher percentage than the school district has over the last 30 years. So, you know, when we look at our total tax bill, we just kind of have to keep that in mind. What portion is the school, what portion's the city, what portion's the county, and what portion's the community college, and all the other taxing entities that go into that.
That goes back to everybody goes, well, it's only going to cost you another $2. It's only going to cost you another 50 cents. Well, it's stacked up.
and it's out of pocket versus today, potentially, yeah.
So to ask a clarifying question, so if the school board asks the community to support the $194 million bond, and the community approves that, but then at some point, either between now and when the community votes, or even after that, if the legislature renews SAVE, then the district can use the money that comes from SAVE to pay off any bonds that it's already issued, such that that doesn't necessarily mean that anyone's tax bills are going up, but you would still then have the authorization to borrow the money if you needed it, so that all the projects in the FMP could go forward as planned.
Yes. So you're basically, and so just say the same thing, you're authorizing us to borrow that much, you're authorizing us to increase, but if SAVE gets extended, we have, future school boards have options to bring that down.
Or if, because it's my understanding that at the end of the FMP, the district will be again approaching capacity, if not over capacity, after all the buildings are built. So you could use the SAVE money in addition to build new buildings or add new capacity where it's needed after 10 years from now.
And that's why the answer is probably somewhere in between. Because again, we could borrow 46 million, keep the flat rate tax flat, and you could fund the rest through SAVE if you wanted to. I mean, it's going to be a future school board decision, but there's options. But again, that's a great point. We need to be on our legislators. Now, I'll also tell you, our local legislators are very supportive. So we need to work this across the state. But now, SAVE has been outstanding. Just a few other things about SAVE. Greg could talk this. You know, with SAVE, the number of geo bonds across the state have gone down because people have and I think this is a key message to the Republican legislature, we need to get this extended, or more school districts are going to ask for GO bonds, which could impact the tax rate. So if you're tax rate sensitive, we need to get this done like now, so that we can have a transparent conversation with the community and be real clear about what we're going to do with it. All right, great question, Jim.
What's the timing of when this question is going to come before the voters?
September of 2017 will be the vote. And I always like to joke about this. No pressure on the school board, but we have till January 31st. What's the date today?
Yeah.
19th. Oh, geez, that's lots of time. We have 12 days to decide what's going to be on the bond.
Oh, wow.
And the reason for that is there's a whole bunch of legal stuff, and, you know, we kept pushing Craig, can we delay, but they need need to get draft language, and there's a bunch of milestones we need to hit to get it on a ballot and all that good stuff. So basically in January, we need to decide what's on the bond.
So here's a question. If you get them a draft and things change radically, can you withdraw?
Sure. You can always choose not to do it, but.
Here's another question. Worst case scenario, SAVE doesn't get passed, the bond doesn't get passed. All those
thank you.
later projects, are any of them salvageable?
That's the thing I was saying earlier, I forgot to talk about. Let's just go back. Thank you for that, because I knew I was forgetting something. I should have. Okay, so this is what I would assume. I'm a simple person. I like to boil it down simple. I would assume a full stop. Now here's the reality. Like of the 8 projects that are supposed to go kind of in this time frame, you can probably do 1. Let's be really optimistic and say you can do 2. But you're not going to have all these things happen in parallel anymore. You're going to do 1 or 2, and then you get to wait till it's finished, and maybe you move up. So from a simple standpoint, I would just assume it's a full stop, because welcome to World War III, trying to figure out what the project.
I was going to use the Civil War as a metaphor.
Yeah, it's probably better. It's civil. It'll be internal, but you know.
You have to go back to the voters and ask for a different bond.
You could ask for a different bond.
Wait 6 months to do, and that would put the project off by a year.
You're off at least a year. I mean, so.
You can't put up another bond for 6 months, and I understand it, but the projects are sort of on a year-by-year basis, so 6 months means a year.
Thank you for bringing that up. All right, any other skill testing questions? I don't know that we need to do the small group if we've had a big group discussion, so. Kurt?
I just have one other comment. One of the other groups brought up, they thought at the board meeting, they should be, I guess, hugging each other. Or I hope, since that's not true, the reason they're there is if somebody disagrees, that we do know that there's a disagreement and why. And that's why they're there. They're not there to be yes people.
I don't think anyone's asking them to be yes people. I think it's kind of the airing of disagreements after votes have been taken, and the idea that especially that if you're going to the public and asking the public to support the bond, especially when you need a 60% majority to support the bond, if you have board members undermining that effort, it's going to be really hard to get that vote. And I think that it's really time when we hear about issues like the kids in West High classrooms not being able to sit through a class because it's so hot and they can't open their windows without getting insects, or North Central being 20 to 40% over capacity. I think that we need our board members to put those kids first and not air their differences with each other so publicly, when what we really need for them is to be pushing that on.
And one thing,
I disagree with you. If people have something to say, they should say it. That's what they're there for. Whether you're on their side or the outside.
Their goal
But
should
once the
be
vote's
set.
taken, it's done.
I mean, this has been talked about for years, and it is a somewhat of a unified goal within the community. We all see the need for these kind of improvements, and we're hoping that the board is on board with this and keep moving it forward and I don't care if they disagree, but find that compromise, find what makes sense.
That goes back to the motion's made, there's discussion, and then it's either up or down. And then that's the answer. It's either voted in or voted out.
no, I think all we've heard, yes, let it be a vote. Let's say it's a 5-2 vote, but whatever the bond is, are you going to support it is the question. right? And it becomes a simple yes/no question in the end. And whether it's 84 million or 130 million or 194 million, I'm going to support any of those scenarios. Whatever we agree as an entity, let's say it's a 4-3 vote. I don't care what it is, but then I'm going to personally support whatever the heck it is, even if I voted against it, because it's going to be in the best interest of the district. But to each
That's
their own.
exactly what I'm saying.
Right.
You know, but at the point where there's discussion, that should be open and free.
Oh, yeah.
Period.
Absolutely.
But once the vote's taken, then it's either up or down.
Yep, Jim?
Whatever you decide to do, you got to find a way to convey the message to the public in a pretty simple way. This is pretty friggin' complicated.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's a key challenge.
Right. That's why in February the campaign needs to begin and simple message, yeah.
I know this is on a much smaller scale, but West Liberty is going up against something similar, just on a much smaller scale. And I think their vote is in February. But what they did is, you know, I don't even know who it was in the board, sat down, did a YouTube video with a Tableau presentation, and literally was like circling, like, this is what you need to know. This is what if you agree with all this, this is what you need to vote yes to. And it was very prescriptive about how to kind of walk someone through the whole process of what they needed to understand about the bond. And it was helpful to me to understand it. And I think it would be something that would be worth looking at.
Yeah, right on. That was a comment somewhere over
Yeah,
here.
but someone said it would
Get
make a
a-
video.
So that's accessible to everybody 24/7. Share, yep.
I just want to answer your question about it. Senate File 15 is the bill that's been introduced. Actually, there's been 2 SAVE bills introduced, and they're currently in the Ways and Means Committee, and then they've been referred to the Subcommittee of Ways and Means. So it's going through the funnel, but yes, anybody that you can tell from around the state, because our legislators here are all supportive of this. It's around the state where we need the other legislators to support it as well. So if you have relatives or anybody else, you can say, hey, call your legislator and ask them to move Senate Bill 15 through the funnel. That would
Can
be
you publish that,
helpful.
that information on the district site, so, because I forgot what you
We
said.
can't. We're not
Just the bill
permitted to
numbers,
put political things on.
Can you refer us to the state or just?
We'll think
I
about
can
that.
get your email and send it to you.
We'll think about that. There's do's and don'ts in some of these things, and one thing we can't do is use district resources to support a certain point of view. You can share information, but you can't. So you may.
I wouldn't say support, just
Yeah.
find where the bill is.
Yep.
Just-
Well, actually, I don't know if you want to know all this, but if you go to the legislature website, you can sign up for notifications. You can sign up for notifications. And so if you want to put in Senate File 15, you could see how it's going. You get an email every time it goes somewhere else. So.
I think Latasha's tweeting it right now.
Hey, I'm gonna tweet it, I'm gonna. My generation, so.
All right, any other questions? Yep, sorry.
I have no idea what the probability of passage of a $194 million bond is. Is anybody willing to comment based on, like, regionally, has anything like this ever been passed, or?
When's the last time we had a?
It was, hey, Craig,
2003?
when was the last?
Well, I can't remember what.
Yeah.
Well, it's been sooner than that, right?
Well, we refinanced in 12 the debt that was passed in, I think it was 3 or 4, 2003 or 4. That was the last time that was issued, I think, right in there.
But the biggest GO bond from a school standpoint was like in the 80 millions. So we would be.
Passed?
Yep, passed.
Was that a multiple year bond, or was that like a 1 to 3 year bond, or? I know
Probably
it's
short
10.
term.
It was a multiple year bond. We sold it in 3 different issues.
60% is a pretty big hurdle politically to challenge. You know, the 2 jail referendums both passed by a majority, but they didn't get 60%.
Right.
How much for the?
Oh, much less than this. I don't know, 50 is what I'm remembering, but I don't remember for sure.
So here's this is true of every single election period, right? Get the vote out. whoever gets the vote out will win. If we have a concentrated campaign and we get the vote out, we will absolutely pass the bond.
I think people will be more sensitive in schools than they are in jails, too. So that was a tough sell.
All right, any other questions? Well, thank you. You were awesome. Hopefully this was helpful. Again, no pressure on the school board, but in 12 days we'll figure out what's next. And then we would appreciate your support. If you're interested in volunteering, let us know. From a campaign standpoint, we'll get that going in February. But thank you and have a good night.
Thank you.
Just trying to help.
Thanks,